Our area's most beautiful properties deserve the finest realtors. Meeks Realty Group. We focus on buying and selling residential and commercial properties throughout the tri-state area. Contact Meeks Realty Group online at meeks.us or call 304-440-1101.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
Hey, folks, good Wednesday morning to you from the Parmar Store studio. Welcome to the show. The A-Train Anthony Hartman is our producer today. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. We do the show from the Parmar Store studio. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. Parmar, the official store of high school sports in West Virginia and the official convenience store of Marshall University. Again, if there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group, including Thornhill GM Superstore, in the market for a powerful, luxurious, and innovative truck. Come check out the 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500 Crew Cab LTZ at High Country today. Find new roads to Thornhill GM Superstore. Click or come by at thornhillgmsuperstore.com or on the road to total savings at Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 in Chapmanville. Coming up a little bit later on in the show, Republican strategist Greg Thomas will be stopping by. I'm interested to get his take on several things, including the fact that Senator Joe Manchin made the announcement last week that he will not be making a run at the White House. We'll talk to Greg about that coming up a little bit later on. Plus, there's been a lot of folks, Republican and Democrat, that have called this session of the legislature lackluster. That's the word that they use, lackluster. What does Greg Thomas think about that? We'll talk to him about that a little bit later on. Millie Snyder from the Shape Shop is here for her monthly visit. Hey, how are you, my dear?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. And before I do anything else, I need your help with something this morning.
Please.
I got to take time to wish my wife, Ruth Ann, a very happy birthday.
And I second that.
Now, I'm not at liberty to say how old she is.
Oh, my God, you'll be killed.
But I've had way too much fun with this. In advertising terms, she has entered what is known as the final demo. Now, what I mean by that, in the world of advertising and ratings in both television and radio, we have age demos, age groups. You know, you have 12 plus is where it starts for ratings for your 12 plus. Then it kind of varies. They'll break it down into 18 to 35 or 21 to 30 or 30 to 54. Again, not giving her age, but the final demo is 55 plus. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well,
she's entered the final demo.
I concur. And I'm not saying any more than that.
You met my wife. She's a lovely lady, is she not?
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
I mean, way too lovely to be with me. I can tell you that.
I wasn't going to go there.
I'll go there. I don't care. It is what it is. It is what it is.
I think there's certain times you have to keep your mouth shut.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, this is one of them.
So, how are things with you? Everything good?
Things are good. I developed something called vertigo. So I want you to know there's 3 of you this morning.
Well, I mean, we can barely handle one of me. Now you got 3 of me.
Yeah, but it's getting better. I don't even know what brought it on.
How do they treat vertigo? I mean, I've heard about it, but I don't know a lot about it.
I have a lovely doctor, and she gave me a drug just to help with the dizziness, and it is helping. But I feel like I had a bottle of cheap wine. Not that I know how you feel after cheap wine. No, you wouldn't. I'm just speaking from experience. Somebody told me that. But anyway, and it's going to pass, I know. And there's a certain exercise that my daughter has helped me do because she also has suffered with it. And it's a weird feeling, yeah.
So what are the symptoms? I mean, I know
it came from nowhere. Like I got out of bed, my bathroom was spinning. And then when I lied down, my bedroom was spinning. So then I realized, I have an issue here.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so I sought some help on Monday. I got some help. And, I can drive. I can do all the things I do. But it's a weird feeling.
Is it something? Because I know you're not a big proponent of medication, but this is one of those things that diet is not going to help in any way.
It has nothing at all to do with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to tell you I haven't missed a meal.
Of course not. Of course not.
There's some things that are more important than some other things.
Right, yeah.
But I'm eating, but definitely there's some dizziness here.
Okay, well, we hope that you get better. I hope you get over it, because I've known people that have suffered from vertigo, and they say it's a very rough thing, because it's one of those things, as you said, there's very little treatment for it. I'll put it that way. It's not something you can take a pill for, not something you can change your lifestyle. It just kind of happens sometimes, I guess.
Right. So it has happened to me,
mm-hmm.
and I'm just going to deal with it, but I'm not going to stop doing anything. And that just speaks of, my whole attitude about life.
Right.
Keep going, keep doing, and that's what I am doing.
Okay. Well, how are things?
There are three of you.
Well, like I said, there's people trying to get rid of, at least a couple of them. So, what's new at the Shape Shop?
I've had a very interesting conversation with a person I called to make an inquiry about something, and she asked me if I could meet her on a certain day, and I said, well, I work. She said, what do you do? I said, well, I own the Shape Shop. She said, what? I said, I own the Shape Shop. She said, where is it? I said, we moved to 706 Central Avenue back in 2020. We closed Patrick Street 2019. She said, I loved Patrick Street. She said, I would go to Weight Watchers, but before I would do anything, I'd go in and give my order at Shape Shop. And she was so unbelievably astonished that we still exist and we are available. She said, I used to have the crunchy sundae. I said, well, what about the brownie sundae and the tin roof sundae? She said, just give me your address. So again, 706 Central Avenue, and it's just a block and a half west of Five Corners. When you're at Five Corners, you have to make a little bit of a maneuver to get on Central Avenue. That's why they call it Five Corners. Mm-hmm. And we have a beautiful shop.
You do.
And we just want people to know we didn't close up. We didn't get swallowed up from the pandemic. Although, when we opened officially February 24 in 20, we were only open for a week and a half because...
Great timing.
Yes. Oh, I must say, yes. And Shape Shop wasn't the only business that suffered. Oh, sure. Everybody suffered.
Well, and you're one of the ones that were able to survive it, because across America, a lot of people, a lot of businesses I'm talking about
had to throw in the
did not,
towel,
especially in the restaurant and the service industry like that, because they just couldn't make it. And but you were able to make it. What has led to the success of the Shape Shop, in your opinion?
I think what we do, and that is we make things that are fresh, clean, delicious. Our muffins, our Dippy-Doos, our ice cream. The ice cream for Dippy-Doos is low sugar. We also have an ice cream machine that puts out sugar-free ice cream, which is just delicious. Right now, I think we're doing a strawberry and vanilla. You can have vanilla, you can have strawberry, or you can have the twist. I believe the success is because we're wanting to make things available that people love and want, plus need, but they don't know they need it until they really alter their lifestyle. Eating clean, healthy food is very, very important. The more we put preservatives in our body, the more we are asking for pain and discomfort, because there's no provision within our chemical makeup to deal with some of these additives. And our wraps, our salads, if you want salmon, our staff makes a fresh salmon salad, and you've had it a couple of times.
I love it. Yeah, it's very good. You said
it was excellent. Our soups, everything, Dave, is made from scratch. So we don't, get the meat from someplace else. And, we do pizzas. We started a different kind of pizza when we opened on Central Avenue. So we do it on a flatbread, on a pita bread, but we also do it on naan bread. So a serving, if you get the naan bread, is 2 pieces. So a lady called up one day, and she said in a very kind of scary voice, she said, I opened up my pizza box, and there were 2 of them in there. Is it okay for me to eat both? Because, talking from a diet standpoint, she was a Weight Watcher at the time. And so I said, I gave her permission. Yes, you can have both of them. And of course, the business that brought me to West Virginia, Weight Watchers, it's gone. But we need to stay focused. We need to remember that eating healthy surpasses nothing else. It's where our health lies. And if you happen to know where the health store is, that I can go and buy some health, direct me.
It's really the only thing you can do, though, is to watch what goes in.
That's exactly right.
And you and I have talked about this in the past. Again, we're talking to Millie Snyder from the Shape Shop. We've talked about this in the past. Over the years, 40, 50 years, all these diets have come and gone. I mean, you name them. There was the Atkins, and there was this, and there was that, and there was now we're going to do the Long Island diet, and we're going to do the Kansas diet,
and don't forget about South Beach, Florida.
South Beach diets, Scarsdale. We're going to do all soup. You're going to eat nothing but soup 8 meals a day. Well, let me know how that works out for you. But at the end of
you'll be in a room for a while that we won't discuss publicly.
You will be in the porcelain chamber for quite some time. But the thing about it is all these things have come and gone. And what at the end of the day, what has stood the test of time has been, along with exercise,
absolutely,
has been healthy eating and lower calorie, fresh, without all of the preservatives. And I'm as guilty as anybody, but it's a proven fact from a medical standpoint that the human body is not designed and does not easily, if at all, digest some of these things that are in fast foods.
And your body stores it up and causes many, many problems. And of course, I continue to teach the Mediterranean lifestyle. And we do it Thursday morning, Thursday night. But I have good news, and that is not this coming Saturday, but the following. I'm opening up a group on Saturday morning at the Shape Shop location. Saturday is a time when a lot of people who can't get in through the week due to family, work, whatever. So we're going to have a Fix It with Foods, that's the name of the group, on Saturday morning. Not this Saturday, but the following Saturday.
And what time will that be?
We're going to begin it at 9 o'clock.
At 9 o'clock in the morning. And what if you go to one of the sessions that you have, what exactly happens in those?
Well, first of all, you'll sign up, and then you'll get weighed, and then we'll have wonderful group discussion. We will learn something every week that is powerful and empowering and instructive so that you can think about it and make necessary changes. And then we will eat 3 meals a day plus snacks and eat better than you've ever eaten, because Mediterranean talks about fresh, clean food. And it's all over the internet. There's so much about Mediterranean. It's number 6. It's the 6th year of being number 1, voted by U.S. News and World Report, which is a pretty prestigious.
Yes, it is.
Group. I'm excited about that.
Before we let you go, I do want to mention this. Now that warmer weather is on the way, they tell us, and we're not done with winter yet. We've had some pretty big snows in March and April, in this part of the world. But I was looking ahead. The extended forecast temperature is going to be in the 70s, possibly a couple days next week, before it probably will fall back down again. But nonetheless, you're going to be out and about a little bit more. We're all going to be out and about a little bit more. Yes. So on these days, if you're in an office building somewhere in downtown Charleston, Kanawha City or whatever, and you're thinking, what am I going to have for lunch? Do I want to go through the drive-through? It's a short drive over to Central Avenue, and it's a great environment to go in and sit down and eat, or do the grab-and-go thing, because you offer that as well.
And those grab-and-go meals are outstanding.
And I also know, Millie, that you are going to be out and about even more with your Shape Shop, with your trailer at different live on the levee events and different festivals as we get into the spring and summer months as well.
And I have to say that people are booking our truck now all the way through September of this year, and I think that's because our reputation precedes us. People want to eat fresh, clean food. And I mentioned the last time that I was with you, Tiffany, I asked her what the menu was on the truck. She says, we're doing salmon bites on a bed of quinoa. I said, what? Who does that on a food truck? Anyway, long story short, she sold out because people were just enamored with being able to eat real, fresh, delicious food. And that's what you get when you come to Shape Shop. Our stuff is that good.
Give us the address, phone number. I know you're on social media.
Yes.
You have a great Facebook page.
We're on Instagram.
All the things.
And we're at 706 Central Avenue. We're a block and a half west of Five Corners. We are open 6 days a week. Only one night a week. We're open till 6, and that's Thursday. Every other day in the week, we're open till 5. Saturday, we open from 10 to 3.
And then not this Saturday, but a week from Saturday,
we're going to add a group for Fix It with Foods.
And it'll be 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings.
And Saturday morning, and yours truly is going to be the leader.
The boss.
The boss.
The boss, the one that invented it. No, you didn't really invent it, but you're the one that preaches it so much. Millie Snyder from the Shape Shop. It is 9:23 of the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Brightway Insurance. The Mays agency of Tays Valley. Brightway offers up to $2 million in life insurance from all the top carriers in about 10 minutes with a 95% approval rate and no medical exam. See them for all the details. Start a quote today at brightwaymays.com. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. Oh, hold on. Don't leave yet. I have a text for you before we will let you go. You're almost out the door, and there was a text here. Said, does Millie have anything they're vanilla themed or flavored like ice cream? I just wonder if she calls it Millie Vanilla.
That's very funny. No.
Millie Vanilla. Write that down, Anthony. Millie Vanilla. I like that. What
is the real name for that person, that group?
It was Millie Vanilli.
Millie Vanilli, but yes.
1989,
yes, we have that.
But you have plenty of ice cream options, including Millie Vanilli. All right, we'll take a break. We're back after this with Greg Thomas. It's 9:24 on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you looking for a technical job in the medical field? Generations is growing and looking to add on job-trained physical therapy techs to our rehab team. To apply, visit one of our 7 convenient locations or simply click on us at generationspt.com.
Are you looking for a powerful, luxurious, and innovative truck? Here's Sydney, inviting you to find new roads with Thornhill and check out the new 2024 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 Crew Cab LTZ and High Country at Thornhill GM Superstore on the Thornhill Motor Mile. Right now, you can get 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers or $5,000 total value when you trade in an eligible vehicle. It's an opportunity to save big on the new Chevy truck that'll haul the winter blues away. Find new roads to Thornhill GM Superstore. Click or come by at thornhillgmsuperstore.com or on the road to total savings. US 119 Chapmanville. All offers through GM Financial. See Thornhill for all details.
Hi, I'm David McCormick, owner of Omega Commercial Interiors. We'd like to thank you, West Virginia, for making us the #1 office furniture and commercial interiors company in West Virginia. Remember, when you're looking for quality office furniture and space planning for healthcare, corporate offices, or even a private office, call us and buy local. Omega Commercial Interiors. We're a proud West Virginia company. Visit us online at omegacommercialinteriors.com in Morgantown and Charleston.
Unsure you're ready for retirement? That's understandable. After all, you only retire once. Make the smart choice and call 4th Avenue Financial. If it deals with retirement planning, you can be confident they have the experience you need. Retire right with 4th Avenue Financial. Go to 4thavenuefinancial.com or call 304-746-7977 to book your free introductory meeting today.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Incorporated, JW Cole Financial, JW Cole Advisors, and 4th Avenue Financial are unaffiliated entities.
$9:26, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. Get ready for the Mountaineers and the Thundering Herd back at Gilmore Ballpark on Tuesday, March 12th. For ticket information, visit dirtybirdsbaseball.com or check out the Dirty Birds social media pages. A couple quick notes here. First of all, it's Wednesday, which means our sister station V100 will be at the Red Carpet Lounge on Elizabeth Street tonight for Working Women's Wednesday. Jenny Murray, V100, will be there along with DJ Matt Guitar Murphy. Lots of prizes and food and drink specials as V100 does Working Women's Wednesday, starting after work at 5 at the Red Carpet Lounge. Also, not sure if you've heard about this or not, but if you follow me on social media, you probably have, or you've listened to our sister station, one of our others, 987 Mountain Wild, Wonderful Classic Rock, a station I'm proud to be a part of. You can catch me every Saturday afternoon starting at 3 o'clock. Hooters in Kanawha City, it's been closed for a couple of years. It never really survived COVID, to be honest with you. So Hooters, the building itself, is going to be torn down. And a couple of guys that I presume were just Hooters fans the restaurant, don't go there, Dave, have taken it upon themselves to plan a candlelight vigil at the former Hooters location in Kanawha City. Their names are Leonard Browning and Drew Cook. And I've been speaking with them, Leonard. Matter of fact, I talked to Leonard. I have a call with him a little bit later on. I am planning on talking to Leonard a little bit later on in the coming days, maybe on the show, maybe on Friday. He's also going to be on the Steve Animal's show. This is a big deal. It's trending nationwide that there's going to be a candlelight vigil at Hooters Friday night at 6:30 or so. We plan to be there, meaning myself, Steve Animal, Shockley from 987 The Mountain. And apparently, according to the organizers, a lot of other people are going to be there too. Here's a fun fact, and that laughing you hear is my buddy Greg Thomas. Steve Animal, Greg, of The Mountain, 98.7. Yeah. Steve was there doing a live broadcast the day it opened, which we think was around 1996. Steve didn't have a lot of brain cells left, but we think it was about 1996 or so. So basically, Steve's going to be bookending this thing. He'll be there Friday night, 6:30 to 8, the candlelight vigil for Hooters of Kanawha City.
That's some brand loyalty.
There's a lot of I don't know. I know that there is one outside Beckley near Tamarack, but
it's not there either.
It's not there either.
It's not there anymore either.
I thought it was.
No, that's a Mexican restaurant now.
Are you sure about that? Because I swear it's been a couple months since I've been down that way. But okay, well you may be right about that. But Greg Thomas is here. How are you, man?
Doing very well. How are you?
I am doing well. Text says a candlelight vigil for Hooters. Even I think that's funny. Says the text. Okay, and another one about keeping us abreast of situations. That's a text. I don't know if I'm going to read that one or not.
You have puns all
They got jokes, man.
It's a lively group that your listeners here.
It's
spry.
I want to ask you this question. I got several things we'll talk to Greg. By the way, Greg's going to be here for the rest of the show. I want to start, though, with Senator Manchin. Mm-hmm. Senator Manchin, on Friday, during his speech in Morgantown, Greg announced that he would not be running for the White House. I'm not going to say the announcement itself took a lot of people by surprise, but I will say that the timing of it, because as early as Thursday, he was at an event in Cleveland and he was already throwing out people, or somebody had brought up possible vice presidents, or maybe he would be a vice president. And there was Mitt Romney, and I think Rob Portman's name was mentioned up there. Your take on Senator Manchin opting not to go third party?
Well, look, he was really angling to get, he was never just going to go straight up independent. He was really angling to get that no labels sort of endorsement, right? Mm-hmm. No labels is this, sort of bipartisan, group that tries to find some middle ground or whatever, and they find some moderate Republicans and moderate Democrats to sort of be part of this coalition. To me, I read a couple of different articles about his comments, and he sounded like he was really let down by that group had not done as much as what he'd hoped they would do. Mm-hmm.
Now, was this a group? I think Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland, resigned from the group, if I'm correct about that?
Well, he did. Well, he resigned because then he was doing he's actually running for U.S. Senate in Maryland as a Republican. Okay. So I think it was just, this group had raised a bunch of money and was trying to get on the ballot across the country. Because the way that works, right, like the Democrats and Republicans always have positions on the ballot, but all those third parties have to either, have previously performed so well in an election. And like in West Virginia, if you're a political party here, one of the minor parties, and you get 1% in a governor's race, you get to be like on the ballot for like the next 4 years or whatever.
Yeah, it's a weird
and that's why the Mountain Party's always on there. Yeah. I know the Constitution Party's been trying to do that. And so, but if you don't do that, there's like other things you have to do. A lot of times it's a petition drive or you got to do all these different things. So this No Labels organization had been doing that all over the country. I don't follow them, so I don't really know what kind of progress they made, but I could tell by some of Senator Manchin's comments that he was not encoured by the progress.
That was kind of my takeaway too. Yeah.
So,
so what do you think he does? Hoppy did a commentary, Joe Manchin,
Hoppy's been his, de facto, media consultant for years, so he'd know better than me. But
well, here's the thing: I think that people kind of forget that Joe is because Joe is. And I'm assuming very good health. He's a good-looking guy still, but people forget Joe's up there in age.
77.
We talk about the age of Biden and Trump. But a lot of that has to do with the way you carry yourself, too. And Manchin still looks like pretty much like he did when he was 35 or 40, and he's still got the energy and so on and so forth. What do you think Manchin does from this point on?
I just don't know. I'm not a friend of his. I don't know what he does. I mean, I assume, they put in, Hoppy had written about it and said that, his wife was in that car wreck down in Alabama. And, I don't know. I mean, I look at all these guys, right? I look at, Manchin, you look at McConnell, Biden, and you just think, isn't there like somebody along in the family that's like calling and being like, hey, why don't you come home and be you know what I mean? Like, why are you still doing this, right? And maybe that's, maybe that has happened. I just don't know. I mean, maybe that's happened. I don't know. I mean, look, he didn't run for re-election because he wasn't going to win re-election.
No.
And so that's sort of, I think, the main reason for that. And then he kind of looked at it. He looked at the presidential thing. So look, obviously elected office is not on the table. So I don't know. I mean, look, if the Democrats were to hold it, I mean, maybe he could get some. I mean, he would obviously could get some kind of ambassadorship or something like that if he wanted it, or I'm sure he could get a job.
Well, there's been people I
can't imagine he's looking for a job.
Well, there's been people that's floated the idea because Gordon Gee is going to be resigning at WVU, but here's the thing, and I agree with Hoppy. He talked about this on the show. WVU fancies itself as and it's an academic institution. They're not going to put a non-academic in that role as president of the university.
Remember, they did it one time and it didn't go so well.
Now, and I'm not saying that as a slam against Joe Manchin by any stretch of the imagination, but they like somebody from the world of academia that has spent their entire career in that realm, and that's not Joe Manchin.
Or at least had more of a focus on it than that, right? I mean, I think I could see that.
I mean, do you foresee a time that Joe Manchin could, because I've heard all these conspiracy theories, people have said, well, he cut a deal with this party or that party that he's not going to run. He's going to be a cabinet level, an energy secretary or something like that. Do you see that happening?
I don't know. I mean, he could certainly get it if he wanted one. I mean, it's not like they have it's not like they have an overabundance of talent on the Democratic Party nationally. You know what I mean? It's not like there's no room for somebody.
And let's face it, I know Joe Manchin has his detractors, Greg, but I will say, if we're going to have somebody in a cabinet level position as an energy secretary for West Virginia and coal producing states, we could do a lot worse than Joe Manchin. I'll say that.
He's not totally insane like most of the National Democrats.
Not totally insane.
Yeah, he's not totally insane.
I don't think he's insane at all. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, in juxtaposition with them, no.
Yeah, comparison. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you by Bridge Valley. Are you interested in improving your company's IT workforce? Well, did you know Bridge Valley offers custom-tailored IT training to bridge the skills gap? At Bridge Valley, you can train for little or no cost with a 50-50 salary match. Bridge Valley can also supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu/apprenticeships today. Text says, is it too late for Joe to run for governor? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah, that's not going to happen. I don't know. I mean, with all due respect to Senator Manchin, I had him on the show last week. I don't know that Senator Manchin could win at this point any office in West Virginia.
Not a statewide one, I don't think.
No, not a statewide one. I don't think so. I think any of the Republicans that are running now, if in a dream scenario, if Senator Manchin is running against Mac Warner, Pat Morrissey, Miller, Capito, I think he loses. I
agree.
All right. I want to get into this with you, Greg. I've heard some say, including a friend of mine in the media that I was talking to earlier this morning, that this session has been, forgive me for saying this term, lackluster at best. You wanted to speak to that, and you even went as far, sir, as to go all David Letterman and send me a top 10 list. Top 10 reasons this was a lackluster session. We can get into that, but overall, and we'll get into specifics and we'll go to break. Well, I mean, why is your opinion? What is your opinion that this has been a lackluster session?
Look, it's not that they're not doing anything, right? I hear all these people are like, oh, it's an election year. I don't think this is. Some of this is because it's an election year. But I don't think the election year thing is why they're not doing it. I think these guys had a huge to-do list, right? Anytime a state turns Republican, you have this to-do list of conservative principles, right? Mm-hmm. School choice, tax cuts, tort reform, legal reform, cut some, bureaucratic stuff, right to work, prevailing wage. There's just sort of this list of things you're supposed to do. And after we did the largest tax cut in history, state history last year, that was the last on like that sort of big agenda, right? So you kind of have this to-do list, and all of your major items were done, but your whole list isn't done, right? You still have a whole bunch of like smaller items. You go to the grocery store, you got to go get 10 things, and then there's 2 or 3 like little things that you are still on the list, but then you forgot it, and you're just like, should I go back and get them, or do I just leave? That's what this session is. This was like the 2 or 3 things left on the thing, and you're like, do we start a new list and go, or do we go back and get these things? These guys decided to go back and get the things, right? So they're, you've got, you had this huge, this big agenda, and I'm not trying to be critical of them overall. I'm being critical of the session. I think they've done a great job in passing the most conservative legislative agenda in the country over the last 5 to 7 years. I think this session, though, a little bit of complacency, a little bit of it is just sort of they got this other to-do list that I was talking about of all these little things. And then you have, probably one of the biggest reasons too, right? You got a lame duck governor, not that that's his fault, right? It's the last year of his term limited out, and he's running for Senate. So you've got people within the party that don't, they're like, because of politics, aren't going along with the agenda and whatever. So he was just in a position where he couldn't really have a huge agenda. And then you also have, right, you got look at how many of the other statewide are running for something else, right? You got Auditor, Attorney General, Treasurer, Secretary of State, both your Judiciary Chairman in the Senate and the House, because, Moore Capito was House Judiciary Chair. He's running for governor. Charlie Trump was Senate Judiciary Chair. He's running for State Supreme Court, and those are really, really key positions in the legislature. So you have those people sort of running for other stuff too. And so I think those are some of the just logistical things that have kind of held up. You've got a very, very high turnover in the House of Delegates. I think you're talking about anymore. You're talking about, but not every cycle, but it will be on this one. You're probably talking about a third of the legislators in the House of Delegates being brand new, right? So you've got this huge turnover of a lot of new people. And the new people, a brand new person isn't exactly the most effective legislator. As
legislators have told me, the first year you're sitting back trying to learn where the restrooms are.
And I think a little bit of that is what's going on here. I think, you've had a ton of party switchers, right? You've had a bunch of Democrats that have kind of come Republican. And I think that, they sort of, they're Republican. And some of these people, I like them personally. But I think some of these people, they still have, even if they're like voting with us most of the time, sort of a lot of their core beliefs are still not exactly long-held conservative beliefs, right? So I think that that's kind of a part of the problem too, is we just have so many of them and we're trying to figure it out.
Hold that thought, because I want to continue this, because there's a couple of other things on the top 10 list that you sent me that I want to go over, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The impact of Special Olympics extends far beyond the athletes themselves. Volunteers and supporters touched by the unwavering determination of these extraordinary individuals find immeasurable fulfillment in their involvement. This inclusive approach embraced by Special Olympics fosters an environment where everyone plays a vital role. West Virginia Enriched, in collaboration with Huntington, invites you to witness the transformative power of Special Olympics. See a video highlighting the Special Olympics at facebook.com/580WCHS. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. If you're injured, visit forthepeople.com. We're back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses live to make life better for you and your family.
Are you looking for a powerful, luxurious, and innovative truck? Here's Sydney, inviting you to find new roads with Thornhill and check out the new 2024 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 Crew Cab LTZ and High Country at Thornhill GM Superstore on the Thornhill Motor Mile. Right now, you can get 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers or $5,000 total value when you trade in an eligible vehicle. It's an opportunity to save big on the new Chevy truck.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. You hear us say that a lot, but it's true. Wherever you may go, chances are you'll find a Parmar store there, offering everything you need to get you in and then back on the road as soon as possible. From gas to groceries and snacks and items for your house, we have it at Par-Mar stores. Download the app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card too. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Injured physically or financially? When the bills pile up and the insurance company refuses to pay, you need an experienced team on your side. At Peyton Law Firm, you get knowledgeable, common sense advice and aggressive representation. We help you stand toe-to-toe with the largest insurance companies in the world. When you've been injured due to someone else's negligence, you don't have to accept it and move on. Peyton Law Firm will help you enforce your legal rights. Because your legal situation is serious to you, it's serious to us. For more information, go to PeytonLawFirm.com.
Hello, I'm Teresa Howell, your Republican candidate for the House of Delegates to represent the Upper Kanawha Valley. We can work together to make a difference. I am your choice for faith, family, and freedom. I will work to defend our way of life and put West Virginia first. I have advocated for tax cuts, control government spending, and many other pro-growth policies. I appreciate your vote. Vote Teresa Howell for liberty, self-reliance, and prosperity. Vote Teresa Howell for a common-sense conservative. Vote Teresa Howell for America First.
Paid for by Teresa Howell for West Virginia.
17 away from 10, the Dave Island Show at 580 Live, brought to you by Pinnacle Consultants. We spend 90% of our time indoors, and our health risk for air pollution can be greater indoors than out. Pinnacle Consultants, the only accredited commercial lab in the state for asbestos and mold. Visit pinnaclecorp.net, because what you don't know can hurt you. Greg Thomas is here. Text says, Greg says, saying the Dems don't have much talent on the national level, I've never heard more of an instance of a pot calling the kettle black.
He's not wrong. I mean, I think that. I mean,
really.
I mean, if you look at the Republicans on the national level right now, I mean, I think there's more on the Republican side than the Democrat side. But I certainly think there's. I mean, look at the struggle there was to get a Speaker of the House that was like, so I don't. I think the Republicans are in a better position than the Democrats there, but that guy's not totally wrong.
Text says the conservative agenda of removing child work permits so their employer buddies have access to cheap labor. This goes back to yesterday. There's discussion in the House that 14-year-olds would be allowed to work, but that's with parental consent. It's not that they're going to put 14-year-olds in sweatshops. That's if there's a whole lot that goes along with that.
Some people are just against employment, you know.
Text says I just caught what you said there. Some people were just against employment. Okay. Text says, WVU fancies itself as an academic institution. Dave, did you mean to say it this way? It didn't come out right. It's a university. Yes, it's a university. Of course, that's what they're going to fancy themselves. What I said was they tend to be people that like, the larger universities. You're not going to see a guy that maybe was the head of a Fortune 500 company suddenly be named president of, Kansas, University of Kansas or UCLA or whatever.
You've had a few senators do it, though. That Governor Mitch Daniels from Indiana went on to lead Purdue. But what was that guy's? Ben Sass or whatever?
Ben Sass, yeah. And I'll say that at my alma mater, Brad Smith's killing it at Marshall right now.
I mean, my gosh. Yeah. What an absolute – I mean, we're sitting here talking about not having talents in the parties. Mm-hmm. What an absolute superstar that guy is.
It's amazing.
It's
amazing what he's done there.
He's probably the most impressive guy in West Virginia right now.
Next to me.
That goes without saying.
Text says, lackluster session, lackluster legislature, to say the least. As the state suffers under the super-duper GOP majority, let them drink raw milk.
So we'll use that as a segue to get into what we were talking about at the break here. But the reason that you see some of these unique bills,
crazy and insane, I'll say them.
Some could say crazy and insane bills. I'll make a point, and then I'm going to make like sort of a balancing point to it. But there's no leadership on the social conservative side, right? There isn't like one group that's the clearinghouse for social conservative bills, right? There isn't like somebody you got to go to and be like, okay, here's the 5 social conservative bills we have this year. We're going to have one that addresses the trans issues. We're going to have one that addresses abortion. We're going to have one that addresses whatever else, right? So because you don't have any leadership there, because you don't have one organization with one sort of executive director that really runs it, that's doing a great job, you get all these legislators that have their own ideas, right? And so if you don't have like a clearinghouse and somebody you're supposed to call to be like, hey, what's the agenda this year? Can I get my bill on there? What do I do? They just all do it, right? So they all do it. And like, and for some reason, they all think there's like value in like having like, well, my bill that I sponsored got passed. It passed the House Judiciary Committee. And so what happens is instead of having like 5 of those that are bills that have been professionally written by a real, lawyer that's a constitutional lawyer that understands these stuff, there's no like, well, hey, here's how other states do it. Nobody's done any research on it. And you end up with, instead of having 5 of those bills, you end up with like 500 of those bills, right? And that's the problem, is if you have 500 of them, 20 of them are going to get through, right? And this year, probably 40 of them have gotten through. And so I think that's a huge problem. I mean, when I go, and I'm a lobbyist for tort reform stuff. I'm, a lobbyist for the American Tort Reform Association, and we pass tort reform bills, legal reform stuff. But when I go to pass a bill, it's been written by a real lawyer who's like gone and done this. And, and then we do what's called a 50-state survey. So I literally have a sheet of paper that has, here's how all other 50 states handle this particular issue. And then we do like a, page and a half white paper that's like, here's the reason we need to do this here, right? So you've got, I got a little folder and I go talk to a legislator and it's like, hey, here's a professionally written bill. Here's this stuff. If you want to talk to somebody about it in more detail, I can get you on the phone with an expert. We put a lot of time and energy into doing these big time things. That's what needs to be done on 4 or 5 bills, right? But we don't do it. They don't do it on any of those bills. They're writing some thoughts down on the back of an Applebee's cocktail napkin and taking it down to bill drafting, and it's popping up, and they're voting on it 2 days later. And honestly, it's unprofessional. It's disorganized, and it's a problem. It's a legitimate problem. And then what happens is, rather than addressing the 4 or 5 things that really, and look, and I'm a social conservative, man. I mean, most of these concepts I'm supportive of, but then you look at these bills, I don't know. I mean, I'm not there, so I don't know how I'd vote on them, but a lot of them, man, I'd have to say, you got to go back to the drawing. I'm for this, right? I'm for this stuff. You got to go back to the drawing board. I mean, this is just, it's amateur hour, and we need to do better. We need to do better. The
Dave Allen Show and 580 Live brought to you part by General Hardware and Lumber of Winfield. Get with them for a quote before you start your project. If you're tired of sorting through a bunch of crooked boards, get with General Hardware and Lumber. They have the straight quality lumber you're looking for with great pricing and the service you expect from a locally owned business, General Hardware and Lumber of Winfield. Text before we go to break says, Dave, let your guests know the last time I checked, the Dems are beating the Republicans bad in federal elections. The majority of this country is liberal, and it's not even close.
I don't know. I don't know what that person's like looking at. I mean,
well, I think they're looking at results of elections. Number one, that Donald Trump got involved with.
Well, I think so.
But to say that the majority of country is liberal, I think the majority of the country is more moderate and is somewhere in the middle. And they're quite frankly pissed off that the extremes have taken over. Yes, I'm talking to you, Republican Party, and I'm talking to you, Democratic Party. That's just my opinion.
I don't think you're wrong there, buddy.
All right, we got to take a break. Back after this, phone calls for Dave Allen Show, a service of Biggly Piggly Wiggly, and our texts are provided by Fruth Pharmacy, your hometown family pharmacy. Back with more Greg Thomas right after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for supporting local small businesses.
Are you looking for a powerful, luxurious, and innovative truck? Hey, it's Sydney, inviting you to find new roads with Thornhill and check out the new 2024 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 Crew Cab LTZ and High Country at Thornhill GM Superstore on the Thornhill Motor Mile. Right now, you can get 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers or $5,000 total value when you trade in an eligible vehicle. It's an opportunity to save big on the new Chevy truck that'll haul the winter blues away. Find new roads to Thornhill GM Superstore. Click or come by at thornhillgmsuperstore.com or on the road to total savings. US 119 Chapmanville. All offers through GM Financial. See Thornhill for all details.
Owning a home comes with many privileges. It also comes with responsibilities. The Kanawha County Sheriff's Office wants to remind you of one very important one, making sure your property taxes are paid on time. After March 1st, you'll pay penalties for late payment of property taxes. So please, enjoy every benefit of home ownership without burdening yourself with penalties. Call 357-0210 to pay your property taxes before March 1st and avoid penalties. 357-0210.
Thrive with 5 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 5%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by a Poca Valley Bank location today or call 844-782-2651. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
Unsure you're ready for retirement? That's understandable. After all, you only retire once. Make the smart choice and call 4th Avenue Financial. If it deals with retirement planning, you can be confident they have the experience you need. Retire right with 4th Avenue Financial. Go to 4thavenuefinancial.com or call 304-746-7977.
Do you support Donald Trump? Dwayne Duncan, the America First Republican running for Kanawha County Commission, does. Dwayne Duncan is a conservative that will defend our values. Dwayne Duncan is 100% pro-life and a member of the NRA. Dwayne Duncan wants more jobs, safer communities, and a better future for our families. Dwayne Duncan is not a...
7 away from 10. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy West Virginia tackles pressing health issues. It's a podcast offering insights into medical breakthroughs and preventative care, featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles in and beyond West Virginia. Valuable resource for all. Discover the latest episodes on WVMetronews.com. Under the podcast menu, start your journey towards better health today. Greg Thomas is here. Text says, the way the session is going on social conservatism, the people of West Virginia better enjoy their cold beer while we can. Next year, we may have to buy a warm beer and get it cold ourselves. Text says, Dave, ask Greg who he supports for governor and other offices.
I support anybody but Patrick Morrissey for governor. I don't, man, that's the thing. I mean, I'm buddies with so many of these different folks. It's hard, because and I do this for a living, right? So, I mean, for the callers to say, hey, what do you like? I literally do this for a living. So I run campaigns, I run a bunch of state Senate races, involved in circuit court races and stuff this year and some other stuff. So I just, I typically, I don't know, a lot of times I get involved, but some of these primaries, I don't know, there's really no difference. I mean, there's differences. And there's people that I probably like a little bit better than others, but in most cases I like them both, or like all three of them or whatever. So but I don't like Morrissey, so that kind of anybody but Morrissey.
I think you've stated that. Yeah. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Meeks Realty Group, where trust and efficiency are the cornerstones of their service. Give them a call today, 304-440-1101, or visit meeks.us. Text says, Dave, some may say the session is lackluster. In reality, that's a win for the people of West Virginia. Less legislative action means less opportunity for government to screw up people's lives.
I've heard that more than once, and I certainly appreciate that sentiment for certain.
You wanted to say something about the business legislation.
I went on sort of my comments about the disorganization of the social conservative kind of cause. The other thing too, another reason I think the session's been lackluster is, the business community had so many wins, right? I mean, they had a lot of wins, a lot of stuff going the right way. Had a lot of significant policy changes. Those policy changes are why this economy is going so much better and why we have these budget surpluses. So it's like they, look, the social conservatives and the business groups and the job kind of creators had a lot of success early on with this Republican majority. And I think they've got a little bit of complacent. I think a couple things on the business side, they sort of, because they got so many big policy changes made, now they're like, you see the business community's agendas, and it's like all these like favors, right? It's what I mean. It's like they're just not big. It's not like, what do they call that? Like small ball and like, it's all this like small ball type stuff, right? It's just it's not that it doesn't matter. It's just not really significant. And so I think that's something that's got to be done too. And I think the other side, or the other aspect of this, the business groups used to go in and want big changes made that would lower the cost of doing business in West Virginia that would then turn around and help businesses, right? The businesses could reinvest, they could hire new people, they could increase wages, whatever it is that they needed to do. We've gotten away from that. And now because we have these huge pots of economic development money, everybody just wants a handout. Mm-hmm. The government's gotten involved in kind of picking winners and losers in business. And now everybody, instead of being like, hey, we need to go past legal reform or we need to go tackle some more regulatory stuff, everybody's just trying to figure out how to angle for a handout. And so I think that's something that we've got to get away from too, and something that we, you hear about, we're sitting here talking about these Republican primaries. To me, that's one of the biggest issues I think the Republican Party in West Virginia is going to do. I mean, you have to do some of that economic development. I mean, if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have Nucor. Sure. And Nucor is obviously one of the biggest things that's going to happen to the state, from a jobs perspective. So you have to do that sometimes, but how much of that do you do, right? And so I hope that's a debate we have during this primary season, and I hope that's something that we see kind of moving forward with upcoming legislatures.
Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Huston's Pizza. Heart-shaped pizza time continues throughout the month. 14-inch small heart-shaped pepperoni pizza, only $14.99. Find your nearest location, HustonsPizza.com. Text says we are replacing guns for books in our schools, and we are saying it's okay for sexual assault people to come to our state to campaign. Real family values.
Who's the sexual assault people coming to campaign?
I'm assuming they're talking about Trump.
Oh my gosh. He was the president. Y'all need to chill out.
Text says, Dear Dave, totally get the forgetting things at Kroger reference, except when I forgot something at Kroger, I don't attempt to create laws that keep West Virginia in the dark ages.
I don't agree with a lot of this stuff, but to say that we're keeping them in the dark ages, you guys forget. I mean, the Democrats had control of this state for 84 years. I've rattled off a bunch of things of sort of on the Republicans of why I think the session is sort of bordering on lackluster and disappointing. But let's not overlook the fact that the Democrats are the reason that we were in this hole that we are now having to work triple overtime to get ourselves out of.
Greg Thomas, I appreciate you being here. Hoppy is back at the Capitol this morning, coming up at 10:06. Republican candidate for Governor Moore Capito will be stopping by. Delegate Sean Fluharty, Senator Mike Wolfel, and more on that tragic accident at Liberty High yesterday that claimed the life of a teacher and a coach there. All right, gotta go. Anthony Harmon, our producer, thank you so much. Thank you to Greg Thomas and Millie Snyder. I will see you tomorrow. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM 96.5 FM Charleston and 104.5 Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.